Okay, so here's an interesting one. Somebody mentioned the power supply when it was being printed some days ago. It looked like the very edges of the corners were coming away from the bed, and I've just been sat here printing some legs. It's 4 of the 8 that are required. I just happened to look down, and you can see the second and third one have lifted off of the bed at the end. The first one had as well, but as soon as I touched it, it was still printing. I touched it and it just came off completely. Adhesion to the bed. So let me try that one now. You can see the way that's lifted off here. As soon as I touched it, it just fell off. That one's a little bit better, but barely. And that one is beginning. Oops, that one is beginning to go at the edge and has come off as well. So that was a waste of 2 hours. Not sure what the hell the problem is there. Just doesn't seem to have printed that first, the bed properly, first layer. Absolutely no idea why not. We had the PLA Plus on 220. The bed I think was on 60. So yeah, no adhesion there at all. And that's on the glass bed. In fact, look at that. It laid down this outline, and even that's not right. See the different strands there? They're supposed to be bonded together. Oh dear, oh dear. Just when I thought I was actually getting somewhere, and we have that happen. Interesting. Back to the drawing board, I guess, on there. I've absolutely no idea where that would be. I'll have to let that cool down and level it off again and have another go. There's definitely something not right there though. Just that first layer, and to be fair, when I was watching it put down that first layer, I thought at the time, I don't know about that, it doesn't look quite right. That's the top as it's been building things up all nicely bonded, but why has that just fallen off and lifted up at the end? Sorry, my filming's crap today. You can see it rocking away. I just don't get that at all. Yeah, totally wrong shape. If that's lifted off, it's not printed it correctly, is it? Right, so just going to add on to the video I was just making about the failed support legs. Somebody on YouTube commented that after I thought I'd made this Meanwhile power supply stand correctly, that he actually noticed that the corners were bending up slightly on the bed, and I hadn't noticed. And actually, when I get a straight edge to it, the corners are slightly curling up. It's not an issue, but it probably would be for anything else. We have now got one of the Creality little enclosures for this. A couple of reasons. Firstly, I haven't changed the PCB yet on the display, so apparently this does not have any thermal runaway protection, so this is allegedly supposed to be able to snuff out any fires that might start within inside it. So hopefully we won't find out, but it's got to keep the temperature even. It's pretty straightforward. There is just some poles and some plastic pieces that you can see up there to make up a framework. You then unzip this on the front and all the way to the back, as you can see there, and the framework slides in, and then you can start zipping this up. We've got a pouch on the side there. We've got an entry point here. This is velcroed, and you can open up this side. I've got the power supply cable fed through there, although the power supply is out in the cool. There is another entry point at the top. At the moment I've just got a K-type thermocouple fed through, and that is just literally, little focus, probably won't, where is it? Yeah, it's just hanging there in the centre of the screen, just to see how hot that gets. And on the other side there's nothing. I've put the spool holder back onto the top for the moment, and we've moved onto an entirely different bench to use this, because there's just more room and we don't have the shelving units above it. So hopefully you can see, actually you probably can't see a thing. Yes, I think you can there. That is printing a raft, and then the 4 parts will be formed on top of that, and I'm really hoping that will solve the curling up at the sides a bit. This is all within the Cura settings, and strangely when you select raft, it doesn't just magically appear. You actually have to go to preview. If you're on prepare and you're doing all the settings and everything, it won't show. So even if you tick raft or skirt or whatever it is in the settings, unless you click on preview, and possibly slice then preview, only then do you get to see the raft around the parts. So I'm hoping this will be fine. It's added, I think, about 30 minutes to the print, but might as well print once than keep buggering around like this. So let's do it with the raft. Let's get them done properly. So yeah, we'll see how this one turns out. This just isn't quite going to plan, is it? This is supposed to have been a nice stable bed, and then with the actual parts built up here, it stopped 3 hours and 20 minutes in, and it's done bugger all. I don't understand what the hell's gone on there. Right, so I'm just redoing this video again. I don't know whether it's the heat today, but I seem to have lost the ability to speak. Oh dear, what a nightmare. Right, so I've done a couple of videos. They were poorly filmed. I might add them at the start of this or at the end. But I was basically trying to print out some of these little legs that go under the machine, just to get rid of some of the damping, get rid of some of the vibrations. So I managed to print out 4 A's. I had to do these individually. I did try and do all of them in one go, but I ended up with them coming free. The end started to curl up. I've chucked it in the bin now, but the end of the print, if you imagine, if I just pop that on there like so, there were 4 of them in a line, and the end started to come up and off of the machine, and it was getting more and more pronounced as the machine carried on, which is pretty annoying. I think we were about 68% through, but then I just went and gently touched each one, and literally just like that, they all fell off. They all fell off the bed. So we had to start again, and then I thought I'll have a look at the Cura settings, and it said you could print a raft, I think it was called, which seemed to build a completely flat bed, which is what this is. This is only parts of it again because I chucked this in the bin. So it printed the whole bed. It then started producing the actual item, and then I just left it to get on with it. Came back, and after about, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours, it said it was completed, but all I'd got was this. Now at the time I didn't realise what had gone wrong, and of course it's obvious to everybody that's got the first clue about these things. The fault was the resin, the filament had simply stopped being fed through. Otherwise, I mean, there's no other reason why it would do this and then stop and think it was complete. So we had a jam somewhere. Now I've got this dual gear head which we changed, and I fished out the filament from the bin and had a closer look, because I pulled it out, and there, if it will focus, you can see that it is all completely chewed up because it can't force the filament through. Again, the failure today that I had, if I can find the damn thing, there we go, you can see completely chewed up because of a blockage. So I also had fitted the machine inside the Creality enclosure, keeps the temperature stable and higher than it would do otherwise in the workshop. I'm going to put some lights in there when they arrive today. Again, I've already reviewed this separate video, but we have a Velcro entry point to the side there. We've got another Velcro sealed point there, and we've got a little handy storage pouch for bits and pieces. So no issues with that. It's a bit expensive for what it is, to be honest, but what do? Build your own. Just thought we'd get that, try and get the temperatures more stable. We're in a fairly hot workshop when the sun's out. I do tend to have a fan blowing some cooler air in here, and that could certainly affect what the printer is up to. So we've got some parts to fit. We have the Y-axis tensioner, we have a Z-axis tensioner. What else did we get? We have got a new hot end on order. That's probably about it. That's all I can think of at the moment. But I'm obviously going to have to strip this completely down now and see why that is. I mean, that is a nice firm grip on the filament, so whatever's blocking it is pretty serious down this end. So we're going to take everything apart, have a closer look. It's a shame the new hot end hadn't arrived in time, but what the hell, let's get it taken apart and we'll have a closer look, see if we can work out why we're getting that blockage, which has caused so many hours of wasted print. Okay, so just strip down this hot end. Nothing obviously wrong. The new tube looks absolutely fine. We've got the various bits and pieces here, and what I did find, I've fitted a new nozzle obviously, but what I did find is just in this tube there is some residue of filament. I've used that drill there just to gently go down and twist. I can't see, is that 4.2 mil drill, and it's got some very sharp edges to it. It won't focus probably, but when I put that in gently and turned it, it was bringing out all sorts of bits of filament residue from the sides. So clearly at some point the seal between the nozzle and the PTFE tube has allowed filament to leak out and get into this tube. Now, whether that's been causing the blockage, I don't know. We'll be changing all of this next week anyway when the new one arrives, but yeah, so that 4.2 mil drill went in perfectly and it's got out. You can probably see it. It's just the last couple of bits there. I don't know whether I can zoom in or not. It's just residue from the filament. I've put black through this mostly, and I have used a little bit of white for test calibration purposes, and that sort of looks grey. So, oops, don't really know whether cleaning this out will help, but it's all I've got. That's it. we'll get this reassembled and see how it performs. Okay, so I have cleaned out the rubbish from that tube. Everything's reassembled okay. We've got a new nozzle in the end. I've had a look at the feed system and all the gears look good and it's nice and tight. I think as I've got everything here, I might as well fit the X and Y belt tensioning mechanisms that I've got. Unfortunately it is now nearly 100 degrees in here and I'm going to have to call it a day. I think I cannot sit out here filming this any longer today, so yeah, I'm going to wait for it to cool down I think and start again. Oh, and something else that's going to come out. I'm removing this. I don't like this at all. I think it's put a slight tension on here that put everything out of level. So, and also when stuff's in there and the machine's printing away, it rattles. So it would need some sort of silicone mat in the bottom. I think it's just a bit too troublesome. So I'll probably print off some clips to hold these ribbons in place and probably make a separate set of drawers, or just use this out of the machine. I just gone right off of that idea. At some point we're going to have to put the PCB and the screen in as well, so yeah, more updates to come. Okay, so we've removed the original X tensioner. It's yeah, the bits there, and we've put the new one on and that seems to work quite well. No particular issues with that. The belt needs to be reasonably tight from what I've seen on YouTube videos. Not too tight, but oh shit! That's one way to mark your bed. Just drag the nozzle right across that. Looks like we've now got a reference on the bed. Crap. Oh dear. Anyway, so yeah, no issues. It comes in bits, but look, it couldn't be simpler to put together. No instructions included, not really required. You can see how that goes together. So yeah, all good. We'll move on to the Y axis now and get that tray out of there as well. Okay, so just fitted the adjustable Y axis modification. Again, pretty straightforward. It's a bag of bits. Do not over tighten the screw here. It goes right through. This needs to be able to move around slightly, backwards and forwards. So I mean, I suppose you could adjust it and lock that down, but I quite like the fact that the little centerpiece can move around if required. Yeah, maybe other people have got some thoughts on that. So anyway, that's that one done. We've done that one, and very tempted to put the new circuit board in and just get all these things done in one hit, but yeah, we'll see. Still 98 degrees in here at the moment. So getting a bit tired. Right, so we are just going to talk about this new board. I've turned the machine upside down. This is the original board. There's some complaints that the sockets are quite hard, sorry, the plugs are quite hard to get out of the sockets because, as you can see, some hot melt glue has been used to stop these falling out. This is obviously upside down in use, and gravity and all that. So every single one of them has got hot melt glue. Now, the easiest thing to do with hot melt glue is to freeze it. If you have some freezer spray, if you're into electronics, obviously you know about this immediately. Just give these a spray with some freezer spray and the hot melt glue will just crack and fall off with some pliers. When it's at 100 degrees that it is now, this is going to be a little bit more awkward. I don't think I've got any freezer spray anywhere, but I'm going to take a look. I've already transferred the case fan into the fan 0 position. There is also a fan 1 position, and these are I think they're both PWM controlled fans, so this PCB fan will only come on when it's actually needed, hopefully. Probably going to have to mark up. Well, actually, these are going to be pretty obvious. They are all actually marked. That's obvious. So all of the red black ones will be obvious. So it's really just the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there, and it looks like a couple of those are marked as well. But if in doubt, just a little bit of masking tape or something similar around these and pull them out. I don't think you can do it one by one because there's not really anywhere to. Well, you might be able to rest the new board in here and just transfer them across into the correct sockets. So yeah, so we'll get that done next. Right, well, I was going to make a detailed video of changing the board and everything, but it's just a complete waste of time. It's 98 degrees still in here. Sorry, 97 degrees in here. There's dozens of videos from experts all over YouTube about changing the board and the screen, so it's just a waste of time. I can't really say anything bad about the swap. All of the connections are almost like for like. Yeah, I would say the hot melt glue holding the things in is a pain in the arse. I went and raided one of the sheds and found an old rusty tin of freezer, and I would, anyone who's not in electronics, just get some tracer spray. It's a useful thing to have anyway, and you can literally just spray on the socket. And if you watch, that will now turn into ice despite the temperature, and once that hot melt is cold, once that hot melt is frozen, you can just grab it with some thin nose pliers and it will literally just crack and fall off. I think there was a little bit left on that one there, but so yeah, freezer onto hot melt and that will just fall off. TFT, again, nothing really much to comment. The new one's gone in a treat. You can see I'm in touchscreen mode at the moment, and we're just doing a test print of the feet that I was doing earlier. We're now printing 4 type B feet, hopefully. Only thing I've noticed at the moment, in the menu there is LED lighting. I think it's something to do with the lighting of this switch, and as soon as I try and change the colour, or to any of them, or switch it off, it tells me that it's an incorrect code, so there's something wrong there. But that is perfect. I can press and hold for 3 seconds the button, and that will switch back to the normal Ender 3 Pro mode, where it's text menus and not touch, and then back to this mode by pressing and holding for 3 seconds again. So it's nice and clear. We've got reflections on it at the moment. My skin is rough as anything and dry at the moment, so there were a few touches that it didn't recognise. In the side we have the USB port and SD card, full size. It would be nice if I can find a case to make for it, and I don't remember hearing any bleeping noises going on actually either, so I just wonder if there's a couple of settings not quite right. We have got the Y-axis adjustment here, that's all set up and down. We've also got the X-axis adjustment there, and at the moment everything is working just fine, I think. So we'll see how this print goes. Okay, so after pretty much a day's work, upgrading this, and we have the 4B legs that I've been trying to print for the last few days. We've got that little bit around them that's securing them to the bed, and they have printed perfectly. So yeah, very pleased with that. Can't really explain why the filament blockage occurred, but certainly seems okay at the moment. The touch screen is working very well. I did notice a problem earlier. I can't even remember where it was now. It was something to do with lighting. Yeah, LED colour, I don't know what that is. Unknown command, M150. I don't know, I thought that was the colour of the LED lights that light this up, but I'm not actually seeing any lights there. I thought also there was no sound, but I can hear a little bleep, very quiet bleep. So yeah, I don't know whether that's a problem or just something I'm not understanding. But so far, yeah, really pleased with that. It's excellent. It's done a very nice job. Okay, so legs are finished. Just gives it a little bit of movement. Going to have to reapply the sticky pad that came out of the factory, a bit wonky. I don't like the look of that, so I'm going to take the pad off. I've got some double-sided tape somewhere, so that's all done. Last modification will be next week when we change this hot end, possibly some different fan cowlings. Probably a different fan actually. That is particularly noisy, especially noticeable now that the machine is so quiet with the new stepper motor drivers. So that is all that done, and the last thing really today was to get some lighting into this enclosure so we can really keep an eye on what's going on. And all I've done there is bought some 12 to 24 volt LED strip lights that you can see here. I've cable tied them, and they're also resting on the plastic there. I can angle them around as required, and there is an on-off switch at the top there, and I've literally just cable tied it all the way across down to the other one here. Again, I can move that around as required. On-off button, and at the moment it's just going out through the top. I could also have it coming down the side, or just a small hole in the back, and cable tie it all along the pole. So yeah, not sure. It's neat enough for the moment. We'll try it in use and see how we go. But hopefully that will light the bed up nice and brightly. So yeah, in fact it should be perfect. Should be able to see exactly what's going on there. Yeah, everything from Amazon, nothing particularly expensive, and of course I've wired the cable straight into the Ender 3 power supply. There's spare plus and negative terminals inside that. So yeah, all done. Alexa, Ender off.